A journey of boundless passion in search of solutions to problems rooted in human greed. The world has fallen apart for the victims of the human greed.
Nobody was ready to help us out. One day things reached to such a point that I thought it was better to end this life.
There was no rain and no employment opportunity. We had no idea if and when we could find our next meal.
In such a dire state, suicide seems to be the only option for a farmer.
We were totally shaken, worried about our very survival.
Is it possible to mend this hapless situation? Utilizing the strength emitting from the very problems, can we convert the cries for help into smiles of satisfaction? Obsessed with her desire to fulfill her dream of finding solutions, she created her own trail for the journey. Initially, she was alone in this journey. The surrounding devastating reality awakened her compassion. At the tender age of 13, pushing aside the cozy cocoon of transient pleasures, she vowed never to marry and decided to devote her life for the eradication of poverty, exploitation, illiteracy and superstition amongst the people in the land of her birth. Mahatma Gandhi's grand dream of self-sufficient, prosperous villages was her vision. This vision opened the way to hope, gave her the will to carry on her crusade. It was the source for defeating the despair at every step. Let's join this miracle worker in her journey and experience that unbelievable transformation. This bundle of energy is called Nilima Mishra. After completing postgraduate studies in clinical psychology, Nilima worked for 8 years with the reformist Dr. Kalbag on his concept of rural development through education. She founded the Bhagini Nivedita Gramin Vigyan Niketan Rural Science Center in 2000 at Bahadurpur. She soon attracted a team of energetic, dedicated associates with faith in her vision. They first invoked the inborn strength of women that lay dormant for years. A confident woman means a confident family, and confident families create a confident village. Nilima knew this too well. Some women approached Nilima with their problems. She asked them to form a small savings group for collective action, but they seemed reluctant. Pursuant discussion revealed that many private companies had defrauded them of thousands of rupees under the guise of microfinance. With the help of the State Bank of India, Nilima dispelled their doubts and the women agreed to form the first self-help group. These women may be illiterate, but they are intelligent. Their potential had never been tapped till now. Could they prove their spirit of enterprise? Nilima Didi's efforts bear their first fruit. Inspired by their Didi, 14 women raised enough capital to satisfy basic needs. Hope was seeded in minds that had wilted away due to daily struggle. Wiping off tears forever, they started humming songs and began grinding spices, grating nuts. Didi's dream became reality.
14 of us pitched in 200 rupees each and collected 2,800 rupees in total. We used this amount to buy raw material from the nearby town of Paroda. Over a period of 15 days, we processed the raw material into 33 different food items, including variety of laddus, chikki from peanut and sesame seeds, lemon and chili pickles, different kinds of papads, and so on.
We did some calculations. The time spent on preparation, amount spent on raw material, worth of our labor, and accordingly we decided the price.
Then we informed people from our villages about the products made by the self-help group. I encouraged the group to arrange an exhibition of their products by setting up stalls and sell their products. They asked, "What is an exhibition? What is a stall?" I explained the idea and told them how they would have to wait at the stalls and sell the items. Realizing the fact their husbands, in-laws, relatives would be visiting the exhibition, they expressed their reluctance. How can we do marketing under the gaze of our family members? I responded, "Okay, I shall cancel the program. Keep your prepared food items with you. I cannot have new program for you. Remember, you have courageously ventured out of the house, rebelling against all odds and prepared these items. If you gave up at this stage, you are facing a failure. You cannot turn back." My comment had the desired effect. They all agreed. "Okay, Didi, we will wait at the stalls and sell the items." They pulled up their sleeves and started arranging their stalls. This was the first time a women's enterprise was setting up an exhibition in the village. People started crowding at the stalls. The group members started selling their products, collecting the money and keeping a tab on the inventory. The women were urging the customers to try out their food items. Of course, there was no time to see whether their husband or in-laws or mother-in-law or son-in-law was around. Their fears, worries, self-doubts and lack of confidence soon disappeared. This was the beginning of a new venture.
The self-confidence of the 14 women encouraged other women to join in the enterprise and prove their ability.
The other village women observed that these women are selling goods and making money. They complained, "We could also do this. Why we were not invited? Give us a chance too." The desire for starting such businesses spread like wildfire. This led to a formation of more small saving groups, each fired by the ambition to do better than the others and create their own economic opportunities.
Along with business comes financial management, profit and loss, cost control of raw materials, labor cost and so on. One must be computer savvy to manage this. The first 14 women imbibed their Didi's message and accepted the challenge. Simultaneously balancing duties at home and putting up with power interruptions, they learnt the use of computers. They also helped 100 ordinary women become computer literate.
I always had interest in computers, but never had an opportunity. I was one of the 100 women who enrolled for the computer literacy program conducted by Didi's organization. Now I manage computerized accounting for them and have become financially independent.
Nilima's passion was to open the doors for them to become economically independent. Every woman has an artist hidden inside. Nilima invoked this hidden talent and enriched the tapestry of life for many women of Bahadarpur. She challenged these women. What else could your hands do? Apart from applying cow dung to walls and floors, fast came the reply, "We can do beautiful embroidery." Nilima was overjoyed with the confidence of the women and she was ready to accept new challenges.
Around the same time, Annie Godfrey came to meet us along with 9 foreigners. They were intrigued with the sight of rural women engrossed in learning embroidery. Annie said, "Hey, I am a designer. I can give work to these women. However, I need quality production."
Annie was very impressed with their creations. She offered them work on the express condition that they will have to maintain the quality of their output. To make the best of this opportunity, Nilima gave them a pilot project of making letterboxes. While working on the project, she imbibed amongst these women the importance of deadlines and management principles of targets, teamwork, quality and consistency. Afternoon at Bahadarpur, then and now. What a difference! Afternoons that were filled with idle chatter became income-generating embroidery sessions.
Work was the only alternative for these women. During the embroidery project, I organized a Sankranti celebration and invited some foreigners along with Annie. 12 visitors lined up in a row. The women presented a letter box to each of them. Annie was full of praise for the designs on the boxes and decided to give work to the women.
Nilima, who inspired me so much, we thought, how can these unskilled ladies actually right away make something that we could export to the West? So we started with very small motifs that we actually gave them to sequin and bead, and then we applied those motifs to garments and they took off. We have a big market, so basically the demand for the women to have small work created the product, you might say.
These women made the best of the opportunity. Demand for their products kept on increasing. The project created excitement amongst the villagers. Many other village women approached Nilima for work opportunities.
During a meeting with 500 women, I asked them what businesses we could undertake. There were numerous responses. They could make candles, incense sticks, phenyl, and so on. This list was of no use to the women who toiled in the fields. This is all for educated women. Is there anything that we can do? They asked. We only know how to make quilts out of rags. They felt embarrassed when others burst into laughter. They did not know what was there to laugh about. In support of their statement, I said, why not? We can sell quilts too. Let us set up a project for quilt making. They couldn't believe, but their response led to the project of quilt making.
All dreamers initially face ridicule. Later, they become guiding lights like the North Star. Hands accustomed to working under the scorching sun started skillfully weaving new patterns. Places such as temple courtyards and home terraces became quilt-making centers. Around the same time, an order for 100 quilts arrived from Germany. This created a lot more enthusiasm. But the excitement didn't last long. The order was cancelled since the women were unable to deliver the specified design patterns. But they were not deterred. They continued the work with the same vigor as before.
One day, Annie visited us when our women were making quilts for the local market. She wanted to know what this new project was all about. Once she understood that we were not making and selling these quilts locally, she asked if we could make them for her. Why not? But I would like to warn you in advance, I responded. Then I told her about the fiasco of the German order. Annie said, no problem. I am a designer. I will provide designs and also the necessary training to these women. She then taught the women lots of craft techniques and gave them some useful hints. Thus empowered, the women started coming out of their own designs. Annie was excited with these creative designs. She remarked, these rural women have lots of potential.
Nilima recognized the strengths of the women and created more opportunities for them. Their quilts started providing warmth to persons in faraway countries.
Wonderful quilts, we make them from baby size up to queen size. And everybody in the West wants a quilt, handmade quilt. And when they see that label, that it's been made by the women who, it's supporting women in the rural areas of India who either were sick, who had no other chance of income, they want to buy that quilt. Not only because it's beautiful, but because of who made it. And this is the key. So many women in the West want to support these type of projects.
We'll be importing all these products directly from India and wholesaling them to stores throughout Europe, as well as selling them directly on the web. So I think the potential is huge. And because of this model where people feel like they're supporting and they're helping, it's possible that it could spread everywhere, really.